Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another basketball reaction, and I know not everyone who watches my basketball videos watches my baseball reactions, and from what I'm thinking, I think that video's gone up first, or going up first, and I pretty much just said, I'm still not like 100%, but, and I'm sorry for not posting yesterday, like I wasn't feeling great. Like the day before, I thought I was going to start getting better, but the day after, I just wasn't feeling great. But I pretty much explained it in that video, because some of you will have probably seen it, but we're going to get back onto it now. Like, I'm feeling better. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm feeling a lot better. And yeah, like, I've seen Jimmy Hyrule has posted a video since the time I've been, like, ill. And, I mean, I talk all the time about how I like his channel, but I do really just enjoy, like, these just sort of videos that he does. And I'm not 100% sure what this is on. This wasn't actually, like, I think it was suggested by a few, but this wasn't suggested, like, a lot compared to other videos. But what I want again, I feel like we need like a refresh of suggestions, because I've got like I've just sort of got it all mixed up now. Like under this video, suggest some videos that you want me to see, and yeah, just I want to start seeing like new things that I may have forgot about in the past that I was gonna do, but I may have forgot. And yeah, man, I probably have to start writing it down, because I do sometimes forget to do certain videos, and it would probably just be better like for the structure of the channel, and just for like easier for me to not forget basically. But this video is the NBA has a big problem. I'm not 100% sure what this is going to be about. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sure whatsoever, to be honest. But let's get into this. Hopefully you guys are doing well, and hopefully we're going to be back with the 1 upload per day or 2 per day. I'm not going to like set like only doing 2 videos a day, because I feel like that's just sort of, sometimes I feel like if I don't post 2, there's just no point posting. Whereas it's such a stupid sort of mindset. If I'm like busy, but I've still got some time, I'll just do 1 video, I'll post that, and then another day I'll do 2, then 1. Some days I may miss out, but I just feel like doing 2 and 1, not just 2, would just be easier for, like, it would not easier, it'd be better for like you guys to see just me post basically. And I want to do it, but let's get into this video. Like, again, I'm just clueless as to what it's going to be about, but let's get into it and see what Jimmy's got for us. Wait, what he started with? Ain't break it, fix it. Oh, the shot. See, that's me. That's something that I would do, not gonna lie. I would just miss.
Oh my god. Oh my god, he on X Games.
What is that?
I'm a man. I jump man.
Oh, I hate that meme so much. I hate that meme so much. Titanic music. He's got vocals, isn't he?
NBA and the Players Association have formalized their plans for Orlando. This is now officially happening. We are good.
Is this what it's going to be about then? I think that's probably what it's going to be, and I'm actually going to be very interested if that's the case. Like, yeah, let's just get into it. Actually, there's no point really talking about it.
Back and Stephen A. When games restart on July 31st.
142 days, Jesus.
After
Christ.
over 100 days of speculation, uncertainty, terrible Instagram posts, and no basketball, the NBA season is returning. Last month, the NBA announced that on July 31st, the season will be making its long-awaited return.
31st of July.
Maybe. After months of negotiating, NBA executives worked with GMs, owners, and players to come to a new finalized start date, and 3 more months of NBA basketball that may look very different than what we are accustomed to. But as optimistic as things are looking, there are still some obstacles to overcome. For the remainder of the season, the NBA will feature 13 teams from the Western Conference and 9 teams from the Eastern Conference, basically telling the other 8 teams to get lost. Of these 22 teams that have been given a shot at the playoffs, each team has a vastly different schedule. From the Raptors, who have arguably the toughest set of remaining games, to the Pelicans, who have a schedule that looks a bit odd. The Blazers, who are 1 spot ahead of the Pelicans, have a schedule that features 7 games against top 15 teams. The Pelicans' remaining schedule features just 3. And if we look at other teams in the West that are on the brink of a playoff spot, their schedules are vastly more difficult than the Pelicans as well. What does this mean? It means that the NBA is conspiring to get their new up-and-coming poster boy into the playoffs by any means necessary.
The conspiracies start.
Or, as the NBA insists, the remaining schedules are based off of the games each team had left before the break. Oh, right. Either way, it doesn't make a difference to me. I'm just glad to see that the NBA will be returning. In their official statement, the NBA stated that the remainder of the games will be played in a figurative bubble at the ESPN complex at Walt Disney World near
very
Orlando,
interesting.
Florida.
Because, I mean, I always relate it to soccer, but with the Champions League, which is like the biggest sort of sports competition in soccer, or like the sports event in soccer basically, other than the World Cup, it's like that's being held in Portugal, and it's the same kind of concept, and there's no fans or anything. I don't know how if there's going to be fans in the NBA, but what's happening on TV? They're just like adding fake crowd noise from FIFA. So with the NBA, I don't know if it will be the same. I don't know if the fans will be allowed, and I guess not, because if they're in like a bubble, like I'm guessing they're not going to be allowed in. But on the TV, you're going to have like 2K sounds, and it's funny because sometimes they like make mistakes, and they'll think you score, and then like obviously they miss, and then the sort of scoring sound comes on. It's really weird, but again, maybe it'll be different. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I just feel like it's quite fun to sort of compare like the differences.
Where NBA players and staff will be isolated with all the amenities they will need for what may be up to 2.5 months.
Jesus.
The league has set up practice facilities and game courts that look eerily similar to 2K's anti-up courts, missing the opportunity to call this facility the ballroom. You get it? Like,
I don't actually get it.
Because they're playing basketball. The NBA also stated that, of course, there will be no live audience, and instead, the league may pump artificial crowd noise into the arenas using 2K's crowd audio.
Yep. See, I knew it was going to be the same. It's weird. It's so weird. It is random, man.
Alright, bucko. We're about 2 bad decisions away from this whole thing being one big 2K simulation. But any sort of crowd noise might be better than none. If you've ever heard some of the chirping that gets picked up from the mics during normal NBA games, you'd understand the NBA's concern with having absolutely no crowd noise at all.
Playoff game. And he's dropped all the way down.
It's been happening a lot on TV. They always have to like apologise to the commentators. I'm guessing it's going to be 10 times like worse with the NBA. This is madness.
Trying to get enough.
Hell no.
But whatever the NBA decides to do, I'm all for it. It's different. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is different,
but in
man.
just the past few weeks since the NBA announced its plan to return, there have been some major hiccups. Aside from Stephen A. Smith suggesting that NBA players will not be able to go without certain recreational activities, there are some serious concerns with the NBA's plan. After testing the 302 players that will be competing once the season resumes, a total of 25 tests came back positive for Rona.
Jesus Christ.
25! That's 8.2% of all players that are set to play in Orlando. 3 of those 25 positive tests came from players on the Pelicans, which brought into question whether head coach Alvin Gentry should even join the team once the season returns. Other players that have tested positive include Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Malcolm Brogdon, Buddy Hield, and Nikola Jokic. Once the season resumes and all players and staff have entered the bubble, if a player tests positive for Rona, they will have to enter self-isolation for 2 weeks. Could you imagine if a superstar tested positive and had to sit out for at least 2 weeks?
That's mental.
That can easily be the deciding factor for an entire playoff series. And even crazier, within this bubble, the NBA will be implementing video technology to track players at all times. If a player within the bubble tests positive, the NBA will use this tracking technology to see who the player has been in contact with.
Oh, wow.
So, in other words, although the NBA is doing everything within its power to make sure no one who has the virus gets in before they're medically cleared, if anyone with the virus slips through the cracks and enters the bubble, this entire plan could fall apart. But the virus isn't the only thing keeping players from coming back when the season returns. some players have chose to willingly opt out of
Have to be the
returning
same
this
as
season,
soccer as well.
including Victor Oladipo, Trevor Ariza, Avery Bradley, and Davis Bertans, bringing the total percentage of players who may not be returning to over 10%, or the equivalent of 2 entire teams worth of NBA players. But now that we've covered all the negative, let's talk about the positive, baby. I mean, not positive, but
Oh,
let's just move on. One new feature regarding the remaining of the NBA season will be a play-in tournament for the playoffs. Normally, the 8 teams with the best records in each conference will make the playoffs. But in Orlando, the NBA is planning on having a play-in tournament for the 8th spot in the playoffs. If the 8th seed is more than 4 games ahead of the 9th seed, there will be no play-in tournament. But if the 8th seed is 4 games or fewer ahead of the 9th seed, there will be a best of 2 series to decide who will get the 8th spot in the playoffs. So the 9th seed will have to win 2 head-to-head matchups against the 8th seed in order to get a spot in the postseason. Now, one change I personally think the NBA should experiment with during this unusual circumstance is different camera angles. Throughout the years, the league has played around with some interesting camera angles that really bring the game to life and give fans a more immersed experience. Like this courtside angle from the 2001 All-Star game.
That's sick.
Angles like this give a better perspective on just how fast the game is played in the NBA and just how massive some of these guys really are. But other than some audio adjustments and a possible play-in tournament, pretty much everything else about the NBA season will remain the same. And whatever the results of this crazy season is, we are set to witness history. If the Lakers win, Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard will get their first ring, and LeBron will get his 4th. And if LeBron manages to win Finals MVP, he will be the first player in NBA history to win the award for 3 different teams. If the Clippers win the championship, it will be the first time in the history of the franchise. Then again, if the Clippers get to the conference finals this season, that will also be a first for the franchise. Of course, if the Clippers win, this will be Paul George's first ring, and if Kawhi wins Finals MVP, he will also become the first player to win the award for 3 different...
Mad. So it's between them 2 for that sort of thing. That's crazy. That's never happened, and that's 2 players who could possibly get it.
Teams. If the Bucks win the championship this season, it will be Giannis Antetokounmpo's first ring. And if Giannis wins regular season MVP this year, which he should and will, he will be just the 11th player in league history to win league MVP and finals MVP in the same season. But here's where things get really interesting. At the moment, Giannis has the best odds of winning Defensive Player of the Year. Now, the league loves parity, so he may not actually win the award. But if Giannis pulls away in the DPOY race, he can potentially win regular season MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, a championship, and Finals MVP, all in the same season.
That'd be a domination.
Although this theoretical situation does have a lot of ifs, the only real question mark lies on him leading the Bucks to a championship. Because up to this point, Giannis has piled up one of the best seasons ever. And if he can cap it off with a Finals MVP, Giannis may end this season as the best single season in NBA history. Now, I would mention other teams, but quite frankly, the odds of any other team even sniffing a championship this season is very, very
It's just
unlikely.
the top 3, isn't it?
So,
Jesus.
if you want to make 10 grand off of a $10 investment, then put your faith in Bradley Beal and the Wizards. But if you're not a degenerate gambler, just sit back and enjoy what may be the most eventful finale to any NBA season we've ever seen. Hopefully everything goes according to plan and Zion makes the season returns on schedule. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time.
It's interesting. I do find this like how they're gonna sort of handle this this virus stuff because like. Well, I just said not even because when I said it, but like seeing other leagues and stuff, like obviously certain players aren't going to be able to play if they catch the virus. They can't play for 2 weeks, and then someone else might catch it, and say like the whole squad's out, or like 3 of the main players are out. Like it could change like the whole sort of dynamics of the whole season, man. It's crazy how this could like change basically just change who wins and who loses pretty much. But I'm interested because like. I've never seen like firsthand live. I've never watched basketball in the past, like from past seasons, and I had started getting into it but my first like proper like time watching it is gonna be in these circumstances. So it's gonna be crazy weird for you, but it's gonna be like really weird for me as well. But I'm excited, man. I'm just excited to see live basketball and see like what the feeling is of the sport when you're watching it and like these crazy things happen like in person, man. Like I'm excited to see like when you're watching it on YouTube, it's cool. Like it's really like sick to watch, but live must be different, man. And I'm excited to see even in the circumstances. But I find it interesting how they're like all gonna be held in the same sort of. What is it, the ESPN, whatever it's called, the ESPN sort of, the ESPN bubble in Orlando, well, I think it was. But yeah, I am interested. Let's just see the comments, see people's opinions on the NBA returning the Flash super fast. Jimmy Howell is upload schedule, shows some real speed. He doesn't upload much. Let's just click his channel actually. I mean, to be fair, he does actually do a bit. I mean, I feel like he's just taking the mic there. If you're not degenerate gambler, MJ Personally, wait, what? NBA starts 2K crowds, hey, okay, on Jay. Hey, that's the my player, isn't it? For God's sake. About to hear YD up on Jay. That'd be funny, I can't even lie. Is there any players in the NBA with like that nickname or that name? Because if there is, they're going to be loving it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. And definitely, like, I'm excited to see the sport return. And yeah, just seeing live NBA games, basically. Seeing the players ball out like that. It's going to be different, but I'm really excited. But what are your thoughts on the return? Like, are you excited? Are you sort of worried about how it's going to turn out? Like, do you reckon it's not going to like work out properly? Like, what are your opinions on this? Because I know there's obviously going to be their doubts in it, but with the Premier League, like, it's been an absolute relief for me personally, because obviously for people who don't watch soccer or watch football, your sort of need for sport hasn't been filled. For me, like, I've been feeling a lot better than before like it returned, and it's going to be the same for you guys. Like, I'm excited for you and for myself to see this return, because it's going to just, for your mental state, it's going to make you feel better, man. Like, genuinely, it's going to add the sort of thing that you've been missing, basically. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. Until next time, like, subscribe, peace.